was sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Patrick Stubblefield.
Oh, come on. Do you think Goldberg might have been developed and used properly by the WWE as opposed to the path that was taken in WCW? It's an interesting what if. What if Goldberg had come up in WWE instead of WCW?
Yes, he would have been developed better, trained more properly, and would never have been as big as he was. Because they didn't try to do that. And that's, like the Montreal screw job, or the greatest angles or the greatest attractions in wrestling usually come from shit that you didn't really try to do in the first place. They saw this big guy, former Atlanta Falcon, fucking jacked up body, tattooed, whatever. Yeah, let's put him over, but he's a shit worker because he doesn't know anything, so let's put him over quick. But because of the intensity that he had and the appearance and just the way that he did it, that's been done a lot of times before in wrestling, regionally and nationally, with a big slug that can't work, smash him over quick, but it didn't work like it did with Goldberg. He had the personality. But they were, because WCW had no direction. They had every kind of direction, multiple directions in the world. Different people were doing different things. There was no quality control. There was no one voice behind everything like there was with the WWF. So Vince would have never put the guy out there to begin with unprepared. Just say, I put him over on TV without a plan behind it. And if he had a plan behind it, then he wouldn't have changed that plan when Goldberg started to get over as a massive babyface. He would have kept him as a heel or whatever. So because it was so ad-lib and snatch and grab and no one person was in charge and shit like that got to happen, then they see Goldberg's and then they start the streak, like today. But then, of course, they have to start bullshitting the streak and making numbers up that people knew couldn't be. He won 15 matches in the last 7 days or whatever, right?
It was unnecessary.
Yeah, but the thing is, Goldberg got over like that as a phenomenon because the people chose him. He was the right person with the right look, and then they fed him people to keep that going, and they had an unlimited roster of cannon fodder. Because they were paying everybody. They could bring in people that you hadn't seen on TV for a year but had names and have him jackhammer them. Or they just jackhammer almost everybody that didn't have creative control and political pull, because a lot of the guys didn't give a shit because they got the same money either way and nothing was really drawing, so fuck it, yeah, let him beat me. And that's why it worked. And then when they started fucking with it and made him a normal human and started doing the screwy booking, then it was kind of on the downhill slide, but they really went out of business before they had a chance to kill Goldberg, right? All the way.
Oh, yeah, no, they never got a chance to kill him all the way. Never. I mean, he's still over today for a reason.
Yeah. Well, Vince did a better job trying to kill him when he first brought him in a couple of years later and didn't understand the whole deal. But that's the thing is... Yeah. He got over by himself by accident, not planned, and then they ran with it for a while, but then they started fucking it up. But before he was really dead, they went out of business. So he still got the aura, but in the WWE, where there was more top talent, there was more control over the booking, there was more of a plan behind the way that people were being presented, whether it's a good plan or a bad plan, it was at least a plan. So Vince wouldn't have let him just throw Goldberg out there and that whole phenomenon wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting too, because you've heard probably like I have over the years that maybe some of the guys who are around his age but have been in the business a lot longer, or main event guys in WCW may have gotten in his head, may have told him, maybe they weren't conducting themselves in the best way, and they advised other people to do the same. Maybe it benefited them. I mean, you've heard a lot of different things. What do you do if you have a prodigy? You know, for lack of a better term, someone who comes up and, maybe not a prodigy, someone who comes up and right away they're a star.
When you have a phenomenon.
And you need to build upon it. And you also have to make sure while you're doing it, you can work with the person. What do you do to protect someone who doesn't know the business from people filling their head with shit?
Well, therein lies a problem, because you can't fix stupid, right? If somebody is inclined to believe people's bullshit that they wind them up about, then there's almost nothing you can do about it besides telling them, hey, people are going to wind you up and tell you shit, but you just try to show them the right way, and if they trust your opinion, then they will believe you instead of other people. But I mean, there's all kinds of different ways that people can get in, a guy's head like that. And whether he's insecure, or whether he's too secure, whether he's over fucking egotistical, or he's completely a basket case. It's when you get anybody that's really dedicated to want to do something, because you can't say that Goldberg wasn't giving it his all, and he's a former pro athlete anyway, that you could really fuck him up when he ain't smart to the wrestling business. But it just, it depends on. That's the thing about showbiz of any kind, entertainment, sports of any kind. Joe Namath probably wasn't the best football player of all time, but goddamn, for about 10 years there, he was, when you said name a football player, Joe Namath. Who sold the most tickets? Joe Namath. Who's in the movie? Joe Namath. Because it's the package of charisma and personality and look and talent. And brains has to come in there, because you have to know what to do with all of those things. I don't know whether that tells you about Goldberg or not. So now apparently they've established that MJF and the Hurt Syndicate are the only stars in the company. Because they have to, whenever they go out, the segment never ends. The segment never ends, baby. The view never changes. It goes on and on. They keep introducing more and more people into a segment to give them some kind of rub. I don't know what is happening here, but it never ended. And they started with the four-way match for the number 2 spot in the All-In Casino Gauntlet match for a guaranteed shot at the world title, so they could advertise MJF Wrestling this week. MJF versus AR Fox versus Anthony Bowens versus Brody King. Is it just they think you can put anybody in a match and it doesn't matter? Or are these, is there no one on the roster that people will buy as actually being a threat to the world title? So they gotta put just 3 filler guys in this with MJF, who isn't Merlin the Magician. But when they started the match, MJF went to color and got on the on the headset, and he's, I'm going to let the idiots kill each other. And I'm almost thinking that they were trying to get out of Tony Khan's booking like I would try to fix Russo's, where like if MJF is in this, it's no DQ, it's no count out, go to the desk and talk. Let them do shit. And they're trying to make the most out of this that they can. But then finally he had to get in and start doing some shit back and forth with these fucking. Did you see A.R. Fox try to flip over the ropes to land on the other guy? And he got hung up and flipped himself back into the ring accidentally.
Was it accidentally, or is that kind of his thing? He just flips for no reason.
Well, no, he landed on his feet back in the ring, but he intended to. He didn't mean to, though. He was trying to go out of the ring. So once he realized he was flipping back into the ring, he was able to land on his feet, but if he'd had his preference from the start, he would have been out stomping the guy on the apron. But he got hung going over the top and went backwards. So when MJF got off color and started doing spots with the kids, I fast forwarded to the finish. And MJF armbarred A.R. Fox to win the thing, as obviously, who could have thought he wasn't? But then Mark Briscoe comes out. And I got to admit, at least I want to see Mark Briscoe and MJF in a program with each other. Multiple matches, do promos back and forth. It's a lot better than the alternative of the rest of the dreck we're seeing. I wish that they had given Mark better booking behind him for the last 2.5 years or so that this would be a main event pay-per-view match. But I'll take it. But he's cutting a promo about MJF's tiny little kosher pickle, and that they're number 1 and number 2 in the gauntlet. And Mark is good, but he challenged MJF for a talk next week. Leave the Hurt Syndicate out. Just me and you. Let's talk next week. Okay, and he left. Is that the first time you've ever heard of a specific challenge between two guys that were already face-to-face talking?
They were already talking, yeah.
To continue to talk next week face-to-face. I've heard the challenge, hey, show up next week. You're not here tonight. Show up next week, and we'll be face-to-face. I've heard that one.
That should have been MJF's reply. We're already talking.
Yeah. But anyway, so next week they're going to talk. And then Briscoe left and music played, and here came Kevin Knight and Hong Kong Phooey. I swear to God. And they're coming down the aisleway all fired up like they want to fight the Hurt Syndicate. And they jump in and they get a little flurry at the start. Spitball shit is so weak. And then the first blows he was trying to strike, it's like a child playing wrestling. And they did a couple of times, and then the Hurts took over and beat the shit out of them. Just beat them and left them laying. And then they start to leave. The Hurts do. And then the same angle as segment 1. The baby faces crawled to their knees and said, no, we haven't had enough. The Page just did this, right?
Couple seconds.
Hold on, let me go back to, hold on, my notes. It says, Page, yeah, is that the best you got? After getting the shit kicked out of him, they come and kick the shit out of him. So they said, is that the best you got? We're still standing. So MVP sent them back. And they goozled these two idiots and double powerbombed them. And they started to leave the ring again, and the fans started lightly chanting one more time. Because why wouldn't you? Because who likes these two jabroni goofs? And then the bases are up. They're still here. And the Hurt and just beat the shit out of them. Then the Jesus out of them and stuck them up.
Speedy guy.
And left him in hell.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
got the microphone. We're still alive. You're going to have to kill us. And then after that, Kevin Knight called Shelton Benjamin a bitch and challenged him for 1-1. Yeah, we'll see this. Not only are we going to kick the shit out of the two of you for the 5th time in this match at the pay-per-view, but also I'll kick the shit out of you all by myself, all by yourself on the B show. What the fuck is going on here, Brian?
I don't know. I mean, it almost seems like they're setting it up for Jet Speed to win the tag titles, but that would be the stupidest thing to do. A makeshift tag team that was put together with a bad name, and again, I know their fans like Speedball. I think Kevin Knight ain't bad, but Speedball,
he's dragging him down.
I enjoy watching Speedball for all the wrong reasons. Like, I don't need to see him in a great match. I enjoy watching him just because it's a clown show. It's a
somebody's claiming those are his real teeth, by the way, instead of a mouth thing.
No way. So it's a mouth guard. It's absolutely a mouth guard.
Well, somebody said it.
Who is this person?
Somebody on the Twitter. So they got to be right. Go ahead.
Do you want to see that tag match?
No.
And how competitive could it be after all these beatings?
Well, and also that's the thing is the hurts are over. And they have nobody on the roster that they can book them with that the people would want to see, that they would buy against them, that would be in any kind of way a good match or a muddy match. And they're sticking them in with these indie fucking darlings. It's a mess. And then after they beat the shit out of them multiple times, you have to kill us. And also, how about me and you on Collision? What the fuck? The Hurts look cool and kick-ass and like stars, and the baby faces are goofy nerds the size of children whose work looks like shit and they can't whip anybody.
Yeah.
And therefore nobody gives a shit. I don't have much plainer to say it. Hour and 10 minutes into the show, and this is all we've seen so far. But in an hour and 10 minutes, they could repeat the same angle twice. Is there a producer? Is there any? Well, no, there are producers, but the guys don't listen to the producers, from what I'm told. But there is no main show producer. It should be Tony's job if he's the booker, or somebody that he hires to make sure they don't do the same angle in 3 different goddamn finishes. But that's the way you determine whether can we do this? Well, hold on. If 3 people want to do the same thing, one's main event, one mid-card, one fucking preliminary, guess which one wins?
Okay, now we're getting a bit much. I can feel it. I figured I wouldn't feel anything. I would just like not notice any situation going on.
The next match was Heroes and Villains. Brian, did you see the big Superman
Video at this point in the show with Omega and MJF or not yet?
I don't know because I didn't make any notes on it because I was just so. I know I saw it.
The actor who plays the new Superman, the actor plays Lex Luthor, one of the wrestlers.
Yo, I'm glad you noticed that. Yeah, the actors were 6 inches taller than both of the wrestlers. And MJF is not a giant. We know that. But the Superman guy, who now facially these actors look like they wouldn't say boo to Mother Teresa. They're not like intimidating, but they're tall, and the Superman guy was 6 inches taller than Kenny. Or is he just stooped over since they took his guts out?
This is the first time we've seen Kenny since he got hospitalized, and he's out there with a cape on, standing next to Superman. I knew he'd be out there at the end of the show, but this is the first time we saw him since he got attacked.
He looked like a real swashbuckler. The cape, he could have, if he'd had a top hat and a cane, he could have fucking turned into Mr. Hyde.
His head always looks like it's about to explode. If you look at pictures of him, like, it looks like it's like bloated to the point where it's going to explode at any second. I don't know, that's another one of my thoughts I had there.
Yes, well, jot those all down so we don't forget any of them. But back to heroes and villains, I don't know which was which here. It was Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bandito versus the Hardley Boys and Take a Shit. And their travelogue was already over. I thought we were going to see some payoff. They just did a video outside their grammar school and showed the limo full of sneakers. But anyway, they had a 6-man tag sponsored by a comic book with the corpse referee. So, and I just said, well, this is where the kids are going to get to play.
A movie, not a comic book.
A movie of a comic book.
Right.
Can they do it in less than 20 minutes was my question. And son of a bitch, they did it in 12. And I appreciate that because you saved a lot of us a lot of time and just duress. So they beat O'Reilly. And then, of course, you know, nothing's ever over in this company, so they're going to get more of their heat. But Ospreay and Swerve hit the ring and ran them off. And then they started doing the fucking dueling promo to promote their match where they're going to try again to explain to us the stipulations. Because remember last week, it was, wait a minute, the EVP titles are on the line, so does that mean that the winners, if Swerve and Ospreay win, are they EVPs? What's going on? Well, they're going to clear this up right now.
Oh, that's my favorite. I was thinking about the other part. I forgot all about that explanation. Who's going to be the EVPs if they win?
Yeah. Well, I think it was an explanation, or maybe it was just something he blurted out, because the baby faces wanted the stipulations of the EVP spots being up. And again, only one person runs this. It's Tony Khan. They've established that, but these guys are still EVPs and get away with things for some reason, even though Tony Khan's always on the premises, but he doesn't say anything. But then later on, he'll book a match in 10 seconds. So, at first, it was Swerve first that said, a lot of people are saying that if we win, we get to be the EVP. No, if we win, we aren't going to be the EVPs. The people, you fans are going to be the EVPs. Is that official? If Swerve and Ospreay win, then does that mean that the fans are all EVPs and they all get to come to the production meeting? But then the Bucks do the promo. No. Besides, you guys can't get along. And I don't think Swerve's on board, but also we ain't going to do this because what do we get out of it? Well, then Ospreay comes up with something, and he goes over and he whispers to Swerve, and Swerve gets the stink face, like, what? And Ospreay blurts it out that I don't know what still happens to the EVPs, but if Ospreay and Swerve lose, according to Ospreay, then neither he nor Swerve can challenge for the world title for 1 year. What the fuck does the world title have to do with the fuck in this? Neither of the Bucks is the world champion. What do they give a shit about? Help me, Brian. If you guys beat us, then we won't fight other people? But if we win, then the fans get to be the EVPs and you're not?
Why does it help the Bucks if these guys are not world champion?
Exactly. Why would they care? It's not their belts.
And they didn't even say world tag.
Their...
At first I thought maybe they made a mistake and they meant we won't challenge for the tag team titles because obviously...
But they're not the tag team champions.
Exactly. I mean, even that part doesn't make sense, but neither one of us will challenge for the world title.
Neither one of us will fight another guy if you guys beat us. But if we beat you, then you can't be EVPs anymore and tell people what to do. So the Bucks agree to that. Ospreay talked Swerve into it, by the way. Swerve still wasn't real on board with the whole thing. But Swerve said yes, and okay, it's a deal. And then, for whatever reason, the screen went black and the audio went completely out for like 10 seconds, and then they came back as Swerve and Ospreay were talking to each other and pitched to the break. Did someone flash the camera with their boobages?
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in a multitude of ways. I don't know what happened.
Yes. So they're going to have that match, and those things are going to happen in that match if one of those things happens. That's what we know.
And again, why can't Tony Khan just override any part of this? Why does he allow this all to happen? That's never been explained, especially after they beat him up. Why do the Bucks have any of this power?
Because it makes a good story they came up with for themselves.
I guess it's more enjoyable if you don't try to make things or have things make sense.
Well, but it's always better if you understand what the fuck it is that you're watching in the way of a fake story. Speaking of wondering what you're watching in the way of a fake story, then to make sure that we know that the movie is titled Heroes and Villains, they had another Heroes and Villains match with Swerve and Ospreay against Dralistico and Frank Mortis. And they beat old Dralistico in 10 minutes. And they beat both of them. They double-teamed old Frank Mortis, and he rolled out of the ring, and then they just kicked the shit out of the other guy. They kind of overbeat him. But anyway. And when I would land on the program, they were either replaying from earlier that I didn't want to see the first time, or talking about something I wasn't interested in. But finally, we got to Gunther. And by the way, they had an in-ring promo with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, who are going to face each other. And Finn and JD beat the New Day for the tag team title, and Rusev beat Sheamus. And we were already pretty much more than halfway through the show, I believe. But Gunther, in the ring, he did a classic promo last week. Just ripped Goldberg and did kind of the same thing here. He said, I'm not afraid of what is left of Bill Goldberg. My God, after the Vultures got him. And he said, I could beat him in under 3 minutes, but I'm going to blow him up and embarrass him. And you don't like bullies? Well, I'm the biggest bully around, and I'll treat you like a piece of crap. Still got it? You never had it. But I love him because he's one of the best promos in the company now, and English is his second language. But enough of me talking about how great Gunther is. Brian, tell me how great Gunther is.
I think he's been the highlight of Raw the last couple of weeks. Liv Morgan, I think, has been the highlight of Raw that she got hurt. Gunther's promos, he may be the best promo all year. Not just this run, but you really think about what he does. The issue, and I don't know if it's just because it's Goldberg and, it's cool to boo, I guess, the old good guys. I don't know if it would happen if he was against anybody right now. He's almost turning himself babyface by being the big bully badass that no one can beat up. Well, and he's not really turning himself because now he's messing with Seth too, and we'll get there in a second. But again,
again, that's what I like about him is he's the guy. He's not a chicken shit heel. He's not a lying, sneaking, conniving. He's a proud, pompous, arrogant heel who's good enough to back it up, and you can go either way with that. And it still doesn't. Again, you know, the thing I always talk about is I hate it when baby faces or heels do, especially baby faces, do things that they wouldn't do if they were who they are purported to be. It's out of character for them. It's bad booking to make them do or say things that you don't think that personality would do or say. And Gunther doesn't do it. And, you know, he ripped up Bill Goldberg. He's taken Bill Goldberg away from Bret Hart now. But he ripped him. He said he could beat him in under 3 minutes, but he's going to blow him up and embarrass him, and he's the biggest bully around, and he's going to treat him like a piece of crap.
And he's getting babyface pops for every one of these things that he says.
Well, because, again, you know, this is a newer generation, and they like the Bret Harts, and they like the legends that their favorite wrestlers look up to and like. But has anybody ever... My favorite wrestler was Goldberg in the business. It's not a tradition now that the modern fans have adopted. He was a huge name. He should get one last match on a, you know, big stage and etc. But it's too long. He waited too long for the people really to be, oh, Goldberg is back. Oh, shit. And now it's, you know, he's, like I said a week or so ago or whatever, he's kind of taken the place of, I think they wanted Gunther to beat Brock Lesnar. Because before Brock got in all that trouble, who's another smash mouth, physically dominant guy that Gunther could beat that would get him over in that way besides Brock Lesnar? It'd be Goldberg. There's nobody else on the list. So this serves a lot of purposes. But
on the other hand, if this is Goldberg's last match, and this is the build to Goldberg's last match, do you try to change anything if all of a sudden he's getting these big babyface reactions that Goldberg's a piece of crap and I'm going to kick the shit out of him?
No, I think they're going to have the same match probably regardless of who's cheering who, because it's going to be, I would think, a Paul Heyman type special where they bam, 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 and bam, and that's it. I don't think that Gunther's going to mat wrestle Goldberg for an extended period of time, and there's, you know, it's probably not going to tease the time limit. But it doesn't matter because, and again, it's network TV. That's a better audience for Goldberg than the streaming. And he gets to wrestle one final match on network television in Atlanta and help another guy do some business in the future. He gets to wrestle for his kids. Gunther, everybody comes out better for it.
You think they're going to put Ventura on commentary for that match?
Oh, good Lord. I don't know whether I hope not for Goldberg's sake or whether I hope so for our entertainment's sake. Because who knows what could be said in that situation. But anyway, so Gunther finished with Goldberg, and then he said, and then I'm going to be the one to say, who's next? And Seth's music plays, and he gets a big pop. But he comes out with Paul, and they take a long time to get in the ring and speak. And Seth was crowing about preventing Punk from being the champion over the weekend. But he said, when I won Money in the Bank, I said that it would be an assault on both titles. Well, congratulations, champ. And before they get a chance to say anything else, like Mussolini, but he got to leave the country. Here comes Punk, and he tackled Seth, and boom, 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 boom. And Seth runs out into the arena, and they're chanting CM Punk. And Punk sees that Seth ain't coming back, and he turns around to leave, and Gunther grabs his arm, like, hey, don't walk away from me. And Punk shoves Gunther down and storms out, and Gunther's like, well, I never. And then you see Seth standing in the bleachers, and suddenly L.A. Knight is behind him eating popcorn. This was the best segment of the show. And then he hit him with the popcorn, and they fight into the breezeway near the concession area in an obviously cleared and roped off area designed for their fight, with guards holding back multitudes of people that are standing out there for no reason. Did they advertise the fight in the concession area?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Why were all those people standing there? How did they know?
When LA Knight went up there to get his popcorn, he said, "Hey, gentlemen, please follow me. I want to make sure no fans are going to be hurt because I'm about to do something that I'm allowed to do because I'm a wrestler."
But I mean, seriously, I mean, I can see the school of thought that if there are people out there, it looks more legitimate, but it didn't look legitimate because of the way the people were arranged and then parted by barricades. But then if it doesn't look legitimate, then why have people there? Okay, to make noise, but then can't you make it any less obvious that... And again, what did they do? Did people just notice them roping off the entire concession stand and stand there to wait to see what was going to happen?
Yeah, maybe they thought Jey Uso was next. Actually, they've given you they've given you something that makes sense as a plausible reason. They thought Jey Uso was about to come up there and yell at the camera and come out. He's done it plenty of times.
Yeah, he's about to come up there and yeet and go back to where he came from. You know, that's got to be a long round trip to leave the locker room, bypass the entrance to the arena, go all the way up into the top of the building, and then come back down to the ring when you were 50 feet away from it to begin with.
Sometimes.
Yes, think about that. It was nice to see that Punk came out to Cult of Personality. I thought he may come out to the Brenda Lee Classic.
What?
I'm sorry. Oh, come on.
No, I said fun time.
Such a fool. Keep going. You know the lyrics.
I was gonna try to customize it, but then I tweeted you mean. All right. Well, speaking of mean tweets, let's get back to this.
Like Mussolini, if he was sorry.
What was somebody on
James is?
Twitter said, like Mussolini? Just like it's 1943.
I hear the next two. Yeah, I figured that was coming. It doesn't surprise me. She's probably gonna be like a GM or some crap.
In case, I'm back till Monday. She out of town.